Hey everyone, Brenton here. We got more information about NHL 21 as I promised in the trailer breakdown videos. I try to fix my hair up and which is getting really long. I'm gonna go get a haircut. Gameinformer's dropped a whole heap of information about the biggest changes coming to NHL 21. Plus we've managed to get other tidbits. So I'm gonna literally run through all of that right now. We're gonna start with the biggest changes and then go through other tidbits and news. The other thing is the game comes out on October the 16th, so yeah, it's not too far away now, like that's what, 6-7 weeks, so yeah, I know it's a little bit later, but obviously they had to delay it, and yeah, so here's some of the details. So the big one is Be A Pro is getting a much needed upgrade. Now, I'm still skeptical. I want to see how this goes, because I think the way that they've looked at it in the trailer, it's made it seem like it's going to be 2K-esque. I don't think it is. I think it's going to be very much like the way the franchise mode happens, where you have a back and forth text chat with the GM. I think it's going to be a lot of that. However, there are some new things, so they can build upon this, but I could be wrong. But it's just the general vibe that I get is that it's still going to be very analog, a lot of this experience. But it's still great. Like, it's still really, really good that they're at least improving this and making differences. I think we'll start with one of the big ones is that you can start in Europe now, which is awesome. So you've got CHL, NHL, or Europe. So I guess you can just pick the draft route, have a season in Europe or in the CHL anywhere and sort of go from there. So I think that's where I'll start, and obviously we'll be making videos for the YouTube channel here when it comes to that. I'll still be covering hockey all the same, but it's just easier content for me to just belt out on a weekend and get set. But yeah, I think we'll be doing like a story sort of Be A Pro run for a player, and we'll go from there. The other thing they keep mentioning is big moments, that you will start to, the big moments in the games and big moments afterwards will feel more impactful, and that's something that's been very lackluster lately. I remember I broke the record for the most goals in a season in the last Be A Pro in NHL 20, and it was just, no one cared. No one, like, the commentator mentioned it during the face-off after the goal, that it was like, oh, we have a new record holder for the most goals, and then it was just move on. It wasn't a big moment at all. Bear in mind, by that point, it was like, I think my 5th season, and like I was like 99 overall and everything, so especially the shooting traits, so it's no surprise that I ripped that many. Even though I was on superstar difficulty, it's just eventually in Be A Pro you just become a god and you just shoot it from anywhere and it's going in. But yeah, so it's really good for that. They're going to have media scrums in the dressing rooms. Now I don't know again if this is going to be analog or video. I'm hoping it's video and you see your character. I mean, I'm guessing by the video this part of it's going to be very visual, but we'll see how it goes. And you can come up with your next big goals, anywhere from I'm going to be a first star in the next game or have a big performance to you're going to win the Calder Cup or, win whatever it is. So it gives you goals throughout the year, which is really good as well. I think that's the other thing that's really missing in this game is that, and I've obviously never played in the NHL, but any sports season, I've been playing sport for, 27 years now, since I was 5. I'll let you do the math on how old I am. And like week to week, you do set yourself goals, and I play cricket still at a decentish level now, and like yeah, we're just ramping up now to start soon. And yeah, same deal. It'll be week to week with the goals. Got to work on this. Got to do this, and so it's really good that they're implementing that. Like you can have a flat week where you're not scoring, and you can set yourself your own goals to be able to do that. And obviously, there's rewards with that and different objectives. There's hundreds of different story beats and major moments, adding thousands and thousands, and that's their quote, of new lines of conversation with your agent, media, GM, coach, and your teammate. I think that is going to be very analog, that sort of thing. And the commentator now has his own sports talk show. And he'll, just comment about how you're going. So obviously it's not going to be the be-all and end-all. It's not going to be the grandiose. It's not going to look like SportsCenter. But it's a really good step in the right direction. So let's not belittle what they're doing. Also have a likability system now, which goes into 3 forms: your teammates, your management, and your brand. I hate the word brand, but anyway. Things influence your ice time. The other really big thing in this is that, and it also, salary bumps, important purchase perks, which I hope they fix the perk system because it was annoying. It was just like every 5 levels you got one. You should be able to get it for other things and unlock more things as you go along. But I understand. Like, yeah. I mean, this tree is good. The skill tree is good, and it's mostly being untouched. But I hope that's a little bit better. And it's things like, oh, you're going to have a house party to impress your teammates. That seems very analog and very to the days a few years ago when you had a morale frowny face or a smiley face. Everything is in a single hub, so you can just get everything all on one screen, which is really, really good. Progression is tracked very easily. One thing I did like is that you now know how close you are from being promoted or demoted in lines. That is so good. You get coaches' feedback way more often. I think that's something I was really missing. Obviously, all this other stuff is key, but I found like I never knew, especially because again, I play on Superstar, like in hardcore settings, so I found I never knew I was tracking well. Like, it was always just in between, and you could score a couple of goals and then you'd be demoted and you're like, why was I just demoted then? So it seems like it's going to be a much more integral system that obviously gives you some sort of point meter or something, so if you do have a good game, you're not going to get demoted straight away, which is key. There's a new mode called Hut Rush. I have a feeling in the trailer you kind of saw like a score thing for Ovechkin's goal, the one he scored against the Phoenix Coyotes, when he was like lying on the ice and like pretty much shot it, dislocating both of his shoulders. There was like a point meter, and I have a feeling it's going to be very similar to that. It's obviously going to have rewards tied to it. It's a hut mode. It's going to be a little bit more arcadey, and I think it's all about just doing stylish moves and cool goals and sick hands, bruh, sick mitts. Shell gets a few more things, so there's cup finals now, so you can kind of move up and go for club finals, which is good. And there's practice mode. Finally, you can just play with a goalie, or you can play with the computers and get a good feel for everything, which is great. I think that's been needed for so long as some sort of mode to be able to do that. However, it's going to suck for us in Australia because, pretty much if you don't have an American connection, you can't play eShul, and same with Hut now. So, yeah, it's kind of sucks seeing that I was so high ranked in Hut before, but like without that American connection, now it's just hosted in America. I don't think that's going to change either. I don't think we're going back to peer-to-peer. I think everyone in Europe wants peer-to-peer to come back, and everyone in America and Canada is like, no, go F yourself, which is fair enough. If I had a great connection every game, I would rather that. The other thing is franchise mode gets a trade deadline frenzy minigame sort of thing. So add some importance to the trade deadline, which is great. For those who follow this channel, I do a SimGM fairly often. Like, I usually have one going at a time. Obviously not doing anything at the moment till the new game comes out, and we'll start to tinker around with a team there on how to make them successful. But I like the fact that the deadline has something to it now. I would like to see the draft also have something, which is a bit, surprising that they haven't really emphasized that as much. It's like 3 minutes on the clock and you can just skip it all. It doesn't have that je ne sais quoi of that back and forth. I really hope that there is something in this trade deadline too that's just like you offer and it's like, we're getting a better offer from, they don't even have to say the team, but like, unless you can come to the party, we're hearing that this player is worth roughly this. I'd love to get a bit more of a back and forth with information in trades, because it's always just like, I see that you've looked at what we want, however, this is in the contract that we're looking to take on. And it could just be like, we're not looking to take on salary cap right now, so you'd need to sweeten the pot significantly for us to take on this cap responsibility. Or it could be, we're thinking this player's worth, roughly something along these lines. Or you'll need to up it, significantly because we're getting offered this on the market, or we think his market value is somewhere around here. Just to give you a bit more of an indicator. And they could make that indicator wildly, like, high, and you can still find middle ground, right? Like, it still doesn't have to be that's where the AI settles, but it would be better to have a little bit more feedback and a little bit more the way these conversations go. In any negotiation, it's never just like, no, we don't want this player, and then you just offer a second round pick instead of a third, and it's like, yes, we will take him on, and instead of being like, can you upgrade the third to a second and we've got a deal. Like, if a GM does want to make a deal, I'm certain it starts to get pretty easy towards the end there. especially for good offers on the boards. Now, obviously, there's versions of the game to pick up this game early, so you'll be able to get it. I think it's 3 or 5 days early. I'll have to double check that. And there's been no mention of EA Access if there'll be a free trial before that as well. So, but I assume there will be. There is with every game that comes out with this sort of stuff. So very cool in that sense. My one concern is these offensive tools are not going to fix some of the glaring issues in this game, of which I'm more and talking online than anything. There are still always goals in this game, and this weird little jimmy move that you can do to just not get hit. And I feel like at least they haven't written, we've improved the goalie AI. That is something that's written every single year. It's meaningless. They don't say how they've improved it. And defensive AI, and they haven't said that at all. They've just said, oh, you've got more offensive tools now. So I'm really worried that this is starting to just go more and more arcadey. I really liked, especially when the GM connected NHL 12, NHL 13, we got really good at playing each other. Because obviously, you'd play each other. We were mostly, so we had 7 people in the East and 7 people in the West. So by the end of the season, you played, everyone 6 times. Plus, we'd play each other online, and then you have playoff series. We got very good at knowing how everyone kind of played, and you could play a defensive structure and win. You can't do that as much anymore, unless you kind of exploit the tools. I just think it's such an offensive game, and it just sucks that there aren't defensive tools there because it's not as exciting. But I still think it's pretty exciting to have those games where you can kind of eke out a lower scoring match. And still have the tools to be able to have flashy goals, but you need to have you need to have defensive tools that are equal to the offensive tools, and that just has not been in the game for the last 5 years. And now you've got this Svechnikov, thing, and I'm really worried that that's going to be some exploited, you're going to see I'm trying to think of a player that's just you're going to see Jack Johnson behind the net just doing that. If I see that, this game has just lost all validity online. It just becomes unplayable at that point. So hopefully that's not too bad, but yeah, I just feel like they're still edging to get more goals in a game than defensive modes. But that's okay. I guess we'll see it. Proof will be in the pudding, and that's just my thing. But I do like what they've done, especially in the Be a Pro stuff. That gives me a lot to work with, especially when making videos and content. And obviously, I know the majority of this channel, or with 156 subscribers, and you can subscribe if you made it this far and haven't. It really does help us out. You have no idea. We've been able to grow quite significantly in the last month. If you call 156 significant, but from nothing, it's something, right? I'll mostly be covering NHL, but it does give me the ability to kind of make a bit of a story, and that's what this has really been lacking. I've always wanted to have a Be a Pro series with a goalie and a skater and turn it into a bit of a story thing and edit the videos and do all that, and don't make it look like a live stream pretty much, and have it as this whole story mode. But we haven't really had the tools to be able to do that, so that's kind of exciting, and I think it will engross more people into Be a Pro. So I don't hate what they've done this year. I just still feel like this game is missing a GM connected or a Be a Pro online. Something that you can play with your friends, especially for those people that are in Europe and Australia, which, it's a significant chunk of the player base. And I know, I'm in Australia, so, some people can call in the comments, you're just salty because, you don't get a great connection for Hut, and fair, yeah, probably am a little bit salty about it, but, it was the best mode that we had, the most fun that I had, at least, was our Australian GM connected. We had, like I said, we had 20 people in the league, and it was great. It was great. We just kept running seasons. And I just think now that the world's even more connected than it was 7-8 years ago, it's something that would be really easy to get into, and sort of go in and out of. But yeah. And don't get me wrong, that mode had so many problems with it. I remember midway through one season, someone Jeff Carter just randomly went on free agency. So, in which case you had to have a very strong commissioner to be well, he can get Jeff Carter back. No one else sign him. We'll figure something out to dodge it up to make everything right. But that was kind of, you know, that you just had to roll with that a little bit for the game to be allowed. The other thing is, of course, as everyone knows, this is current gen or not next gen, which soon, you know, will be last gen, I guess. So hopefully the new game will come out next year. But obviously, last time they sort of rushed a new generation release, it was probably the worst game that we've seen. The worst iteration. I think it came without eShore from memory. I can't remember. Was it without eShore? It was without something, some big mode. I mean, we don't play eShore too much just because of the lag there, so we just more have fun with it. But yeah, I just remember. Oh boy. Anyway, guys, that is the whole video. If you did like this video, hit the like button. If you have made it this far and you have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button because that really does help us out, especially with motivation side of things. I'm doing 2-3 videos a day, plus working full time, and you know, training for sport and all that. And I know woe is me, right? But it's not the woe is me side of things. You don't owe me anything. I love making these videos, but it is motivation during the harder times when the alarm goes off at 5 in the morning and you're like, oh, I could go to bed. And seriously, you load that, and if I see that go up by 1 or 2, you know, sometimes I've seen it go up by 8, but if I see it go up by 1, I'm like, let's go. You know, we've got a good day ahead of us. So trust me, it really does help out if you do enjoy this content. Otherwise, yeah, comment down below. Are you looking forward to the game? Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Have a great day. See you, and bye.